What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is gonna be a quick drop. Earlier this week, Stan Lee passed, and if you're not familiar with who Stan Lee is a comic book. I don't know what the word to call him. I mean, innovator. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he was Marvel Comics. Um, if you just a little bit, worked and started working in comics at a pretty much a young age, and eventually he became the head of the comic book company he was working for because everybody else quit. And then that comic book company evolved into what we now know as Marvel Comics, and he's been the head of Marvel Comics probably for 30 or 40 years, something ridiculous. And he was 95 years old and he was still working. And, his thing was, why would I retire? Like, I love what I do. What else would I do? The reason why I'm coming and doing a little quick drop is Stan Lee wasn't just a comic book creator. To reduce him to that is disrespectful for me. And I want to make sure that his legacy is not reduced to the man who created Spider-Man or, Iron Man or what have you. I need people to understand exactly how important and how serious the things that Stan Lee did when it comes to minority history. Stan Lee made it his business to use his craft and his art and his platform to advance the positive images of minorities in his at his company. And he was quick to say he didn't do it himself. He had a great team. So I can't say that Stan Lee, it's all Stan Lee. However, and you see I got my X-Men shirt on. However, Stan Lee was the head of a company that allowed it to happen at a time where you didn't see black people in roles of heroes and saving the day and intelligent and rich. I mean, let's look at just the idea of what Black Panther is. We had Black Panther, fever these last few years, but let's peel away at what Black Panther really was. And this is a character that came out, again, I'm not a comic book guru and I'm sure somebody will correct me, but in the late 60s, early 70s, I believe. I'm not a comic book person, but I saw a documentary on like the history of comic books. I can't remember the name of it now, but I remember that was when I learned all of this, and I had a totally different respect for Stan Lee after I learned about about what he did at a time when, people didn't want to see this. But Black Panther is the king of the richest country in the world. Nobody, like, who thinks of black people in that role? When you think about it, Wakanda is a country in Africa that was never colonized by Europe. And so what the deeper meaning of what Wakanda is, I mean, yeah, we got the whole comic book piece of it, but the deeper meaning is, look at what Africa could have become had they been left the fuck alone. Right? You know what I'm saying? So I see that, and I see the bigger meaning with that. Let's look at X-Men for a minute. The idea of X-Men, we have a group of mutants who look different, who act different, through no fault of their own. They're born that way. They can't control it. They don't do anything to anybody. They don't hate anybody. But they were ostracized, criticized. Laws were made to keep them to live in a certain place, to be able to only work in a certain place. They had to register as mutants. And you see the saga of X-Men. But if you look at the deeper meaning of it and you talk about the unwanted of society, the people, and I always looked at it as minorities, that minorities were treated and put in this box and treated a certain way through no fault of their own. You know what I mean? And so he absolutely created X-Men as a social message. He said it. It's no secret. It's not a hidden agenda. He absolutely created X-Men to speak to how ridiculous segregation was in the United States. It was a social message. So I say to people who, definitely respect, what he did in his art. But I just want people to understand that there's something deeper there. And I could keep going. I'm not going to, but I could keep going. We have the character in X-Men. We have the Amazon and, Storm. We have, so you could go deeper. You could get into all of the ins and outs of it. But I just really, really want you guys to just think about it and respect and understand the legacy of this man that goes beyond Spider-Man, right? All right, that was it. Hope y'all having a great day.